those anyway, shortly. So let's talk about what Ethernet is. Let's say your life. Let's say you have a certain rules of life. I'm going to tell you some of my rules. Okay? No killing. This is a general rule for me. I mean, I'm hoping it'll be a general rule for you as well. Okay? And I do not, under no circumstances, affect somebody else's life. I do not affect others. Unless it's in a positive way. Now, this rule kind of makes me kind of annoying because when people are asking me specific questions, if I feel that it will affect you in a way of going in that direction, if I sense that you're not the type of person that will make a judgment call, that you're just going to be using my advice as a means of just getting the answer and just going with it, I won't give you the answer. So people find this very annoying. It's like, God, just give me the answer. I just want the answer. But remember, these are rules that I want to follow. I choose to follow these rules. Now, these are self-life rules. What about the general life rules? No speeding. That's one. No killing is another one. No fighting, which they call assault. What else? Did I say no? I thought I said no stealing. No stealing. Okay? These are general rules. Now, you can speed anytime you want. You can kill anytime you want. You can fight. You can steal anytime you want. But when you get caught, there are serious consequences. Now, these personal rules, no one's really worrying about them. You can break those anytime, at any given moment, so on and so on and so on. But these general rules, these general life rules, is what we call protocols. Now, these protocols mean something, which means when you're speeding, guess what? You're breaking protocol. You know for a fact that you're not allowed to speed. Really, one of the major ones should be in here is HOV lane, because we know cops love to catch you in the HOV lane. But these are called protocols. When you break these protocols, certain things happen. You get pulled over. And what's the protocol when the lights go on? When a cop is behind you, what is proper protocol? Proper protocol is to pull over. Interesting. We all know this. What is the proper protocol for an ambulance? To pull over. Now, there are people who don't do this. What's the proper protocol for a school bus that actually has its red lights on? Not the yellow lights, but the red lights when they're flashing. To stop. Where you are. Even if you're on the other side of the street. Now, this can mean something in a lot of people's mind. These protocols, think about it like this. I'm coming in to my street here. Okay, and then we got houses sitting over here. I was about to draw a PC there. And we got some houses over here. And here's our main street that's coming. Here's our main street. Here's my horrible car. And right here, the bus is sitting. That really should have been the bus. The bus is sitting over here with the lights on. The kids are getting off the bus, walking onto this media, and I'm turning into here. Now, do you know how many people don't stop here? I stop. This is where I stop right here if this bus is sitting over here. This is the main road, but this is turning into my community. I will stop right here. I will not pass this bus. Other people just fly on past. To me, my personal protocol means that I'm stopping at this bus. So what am I getting at here? This concept of protocol. Rules. Regulations. There's certain rules that must be followed in order to keep peace, or someone's idea of peace. In order for us to have communication from PC1 over to PC2, guess what we have to have? Some type of rules. Some type of protocols that make sure that when data is leaving this PC and going over to PC2, that this data it maintains its integrity, is sent over there in that actually gets over to the PC2, depending on what type of traffic we have. Because we do have methods of making sure it's guaranteed, and we have methods that make sure that it's not guaranteed as well. But at the same time, even if it's not guaranteed, when I send data from this side over to here, I want the data to get there. We have protocols that deal with this. There's lots of different types of protocols that we will use to govern this traffic. Ethernet is one of those protocols. Now, it's not a protocol to the point where we would actually go in and make changes to it. Ethernet is what we like to call a standard. Now, just like I had the list of things here, we know our standard rules. No killing, no stealing, no speeding. We know these general rules. And no fighting, right? All these rules, they're standard, right off the board. I mean, you got two people here ready to scrap and ready to get mad and angry. And what's the first thing that comes to their mind? I'm gonna let him hit the first punch, because if I do, then I'm just defending myself. And they'll find ways of trying to bend these rules in some fashion. They'll find ways of trying to maybe manipulate the situation. But the bottom line is, we all know what these standard rules are. So Ethernet is what we call a standard, an industry standard, which means that if you have a proprietary protocol, you can call it Ethernet all you want. But if it doesn't follow the industry standard by the powers that be, you're not legit. You're not a legit standard. Now that's the interesting thing, because the power that be here will be this IEEE number. So IEEE, so we call it IEEE. And this is an engineering organization that will provide you with a particular number for a particular protocol, which in this case is Ethernet, and give it a certain standard. And standards are nothing but rules. It's like, look, let's think of some standards here. It might say, look, when using Ethernet, all NIC cards must provide 5 volts. But no more. Okay? No more. Let's say greater than. Let's do greater than. No more than 5.2 volts. Right? Or I should have said greater than or less than, shouldn't I? I should have said greater or less than or equal to 5.2 volts. I think that's the right way to write it. But you get the idea. This might be a rule. There might be certain other protocols that are within this saying, look, when data is leaving this PC, we must have this particular information in the actual data. Let's think about that. When PC1 sends information out, it might need certain information in order for PC2 to communicate with it. This way, they're speaking on the same language. So after all this explanation, we know protocols are nothing more but a set of rules. Don't speed, you're breaking protocol. In the military, they'll use this a lot. They call rules protocols. You know, when you're in there and you are being reprimanded for whatever reason, they don't say, well, he broke the rules. They say, you broke protocol. You went out of the lines of the rules that we set for this mission. You broke protocol. There will be some unique protocols and some standard. Ethernet, industry standard, means that everyone who's going to deploy this type of communication must follow these rules. So let's look at some characteristics of Ethernet. Remember, this is not something that you configure. So again, let's think about this. What is Ethernet? Ethernet refers to a family of LAN products. What does LAN stand for? Which is something we're going to be learning here. It's called Local Area Network. So local means anything that's locally to you. So you got your switch and you have your PCs. And in fact, why don't we do it this way? Let's go back to our diagram here. This is considered a LAN. You know why? Because it's local. Local area network. Notice that I have it right here. It's local to you. Now, I don't have the router in there, but technically the router is part of it as well. I should be drawing this way up here. The only reason why I didn't was to show you really that the SOHO is the entire thing and the LAN sits within there. And once we hit the router, we've gone out of the LAN. And we are leaving the LAN going into the wide area network, which is our WAN. So it tells you right here that Ethernet refers to a family of LAN products, which means those LAN products will be rules, regulations, protocols. It defines the carrier sense multiple access. Now this is another protocol that's within Ethernet. And we're going to learn later on what this exactly does. It also tells you it provides MAC addresses. Here's some other things. Duplexing. Differential services. You don't need to know what these are right now. Flow control. You're going to learn flow control. Duplexing, you'll learn a little bit about. We don't go really in detail. Media cloaking and speed attributes. And that's an interesting thing because data travels at a certain speed. So here is PC1. Here's PC2. This is plugged into this switchboard. This is plugged into here. We're plugging into Ethernet ports. So what does that tell you? It's telling you that we're running Ethernet. So this PC and this PC are communicating with Ethernet with this particular switch. So they plug into these ports. And what happens? You can set the speed on these interfaces, or you can set them to auto. And they will negotiate what the speed is going to be and some other attributes. Notice it says speed attributes. It's more than just how fast the data moves. And Ethernet will be doing this in the background, and all of a sudden your ports come up, and the speed is automatically negotiated. Have you gotten to the point what I'm getting at here? This is nothing more than a protocol. You're not going to really get in detail with this. You're not going to be making changes to this. This is something that just is. But when people talk about Ethernet all the time, you got to know what it is. It's just a standard. That's it. Okay, so let's get farther down here. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing my scroll here, but that's because I didn't have the mouse enabled. So let's simplify all this information. Ethernet is a family of protocol that, one, defines the standards for communication for local area networks. That's it. Wow, well, that's simple. You're telling me Ethernet is nothing more than this underlying thing that's governing communication on a local area network on a LAN? That's it. Ethernet is a family of protocol which travels over a particular standardized cables. That's a little confusing. Well, think about it. Ethernet is a standard that is going to be sitting on an Ethernet port. Here's my port. Here's my Ethernet port. I'm going to plug this cable into this port. Okay? And you're going to have your pins coming down here. And this device is going to plug a piece of RJ45 in here. And here's your cable coming out. As these pins are hitting down into this top of this jack here and going across the wires, Ethernet has certain rules and regulations as the voltage, the pulsing that you're sending down. When I say pulsing, this data that's moving around is pulses of electricity. So we can't just flood this thing with data. We can't just move it down. There's certain rules and regulation it has to follow, even bringing the data onto the wire. So that means something, because the network card has this port and has all these circuits on it. If we go back, that's a shame. I thought I had that up there, but I don't. I'm going to have to add that on there. But anyway, even this device here, let's take a look at this one. You see all these circuitry that we have on here? This is what a network card has. All this circuitry. So because of that, this network card is not something that's just simple, that's just doing a simple job. It has a job to do, and Ethernet job is to make sure that this network card is doing its job in a way where things are being sent over the wire correctly. Because we have lots of steps before this information gets turned into electricity and